Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are in the world. Please let us know where you're joining from and which National Geographic learning resources you're using. We'd love to know. Please put them in the chat.
Morning.
Hello. Good morning from Greece.
Good morning, Hara.
Let's see. And Italy. Anna, hello. Good morning, Dima. Where are you joining from? We have Sarah from Italy.
Buongiorno, was from Italy.
Oh, lovely to see so many people, bright and early.
Yeah.
Dima from Jordan. Wonderful, wonderful. Keep it coming. Elena is using close-up, B1 and B2. Wonderful. Okay, well, we'll wait for the numbers to rise a little bit more. And while we wait, I'll go over a couple of things with you all. So first of all, welcome Sonia Jordana, who will be delivering the session on Mastering Spark today. So before we get started, I'll just take a minute to go over some housekeeping notes. So first off, at the bottom of your screen, you'll notice that there are several icons. The first button on the left is the chat function. Please send your messages to everyone when you write messages in there to ensure that the whole group can read them. On the right, you'll see a Q&A button. Please use this to ask questions so we don't miss any. We'll have dedicated time at the end of the session to go through any questions that haven't been answered during the session. And finally, a recording of today's session will be shared within the next week or so if you want to rewatch it, just in case you missed anything. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to our speaker. Sonia, over to you if you're ready.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anna Julia. Right, so good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you're based. Nice to see so many people joining us today. We're gonna get started, and as Anna Julia mentioned, this is the last of the three leveled video tutorials that we are delivering this month to help you feel confident with Spark. Okay, in the first two sessions, getting started and making the most of Spark, we covered how to start using the platform, how to get your students registered and enrolling in your courses, and also how to use the CPT and the teacher resources, and also how to create assignments, right? So the last session, so the one happening today, will be focusing on assessment, online assessment, what we call assessment suite, how to assign tests for your students to complete online and how to track progress. So let's have a look at the agenda. As I said, we're going to be having a look and analyzing the assessment options for teachers using Spark. And then we're going to go live, and I will walk you through the various options, how you can review, edit, and assign pre-compiled tests, so pre-made tests that are available from the platform for your students to complete online based on the specific open date and time and then date and time that you select. Okay, then you will see that it's also possible now to create a custom test. You can pick and choose the questions that you would like to include and modify the order as you wish before assigning the test for your students to complete online. And then we will navigate to the student view. I will show you what is it that students can see when they try to access the test and how they can complete an actual test that has been assigned to them, and how they can view their own grades after the test due date. Okay, and finally, obviously, we may we need to have a look at how teachers can track student performance on those tests. Okay, all the questions, all the test items are automatically graded by the platform except for the speaking and writing. Okay, the manually what we call manually graded activities, those are open-ended questions, and I will also show you how you can manually grade them on Spark. Okay, So without further ado, I'm just reminding you that feel free to type your questions in the chat box, and we'll do our best to cover them as we go or at the end of the session. Okay, right. So I'd like to start by sharing this interesting quote by George Porras, a leading educator in the area of innovative teaching and learning. He's also a great author, and he said that technology will never replace great teachers like you, but technology in the hands of a great teacher can be transformational. So this means that hopefully the Spark features that we will explore today will allow you to transform your English classes and make your lives easier, right? So let's see, and this is a quick reminder that Spark, what is Spark? Spark is National Geographic's Learning's digital platform, which hosts all of the digital tools for teachers and students who are using many of our titles like Close Up, Voices, Reflect, Look, Our Wall Outcomes, okay? It's all in one place with just one set of credentials available anytime, anywhere, desktop, tablet, and mobile compatible. It also allows the students to easily work online and offline with the Students app. Okay, we are not going to cover the features of the app in these webinars, but if you're interested, if you want to learn more, please reach out to your local NGL representative, and they will be happy to help you and provide more information. Okay, so those who have attended the previous two webinars may be familiar with this diagram. So as we saw in those sessions, through the Spark platform, teachers and students can access a large number of resources and tools that support our programs, right? Today, we will learn about another of the key teaching jobs that the platform can help you with, and this is assigning tests, okay? Tests and quizzes, because for those in primary are generally quizzes, and also those in secondary, there are tests, but also quizzes. So this can be done through the assessment suite, okay? It's the test tab, the test page in your teacher's account, as we will see today. But obviously, we will need to see how you can then track student and class progress, okay? Monitoring your students' performance on those tests. And this can be done through the course gradebook, okay? Please note that the assessment suite will allow you to assign tests for your students to complete online. So it's in platform delivery only, okay? This is something that many institutions will find helpful, but still there is another option, which is using the ready-to-use printable tests, so downloadable, printable, editable tests available from teacher resources. So again, under the teacher resources sections in your teacher account, you will find ready-to-use tests if you prefer to work in an in-classroom environment, traditional, with printed tests, okay? So I thought that it would be worth summarizing the options before we go live, okay? So assessment options for teachers using Spark. As I said, if you prefer to work in a traditional in-classroom environment and provide print tests to your students, you should use the ready-to-use tests that are available from Spark under this teacher resources section, okay? If you filter by resource type from this drop-down menu on the right and select assessment, you will find unit tests, midterm tests, end-of-year tests for the program that you're using, okay? And they are available in Word and PDF format there, so you can easily open or download them for offline use, okay? You will also find the audio tracks for the listenings and the audio scripts, the corresponding answer keys, and then for certain programs, you will also find speaking tests, writing tests, and some tests for IELTS and Cambridge, okay? So these are for offline use. This is not something we're going to cover today, but it's a slight reminder of other options that you have with the Spark. So what the session is about online assessment, okay? So we're going to see how you can assign tests for your students to complete online through the assessment suite or the test tab on your teacher accounts, okay? This is basically the number of features that you will find. You can sort and browse tests by program, as we will see when we go live in a minute. You can preview those tests and edit them, okay? You will find same kind of tests, unit, mid-year, and end-of-year tests. Then you can create a custom test from additional question banks that are available. So you can pick and choose by skill, filtering the kind of question that you would like to include, and then finally assigning those tests for your students, okay? As I said, tests are automatically graded, except for those open-ended questions that you will need to mark. And it's important to know that these tests tab on the assessment suite as such, the possibility of assigning tests online is not available for some young learner programs like Our Wall or Look or even Time Zones yet, okay? This is coming. You will find that this functionality will be added for those programs in the next few months, okay? Right. If there are no questions, let me have a look at in the chat box. Nothing there yet. So let's move on. We're gonna start by describing exactly what features you have in the assessment suite and how they work, okay? How you're gonna be assigning tests online. So, as I said, now in Spark you can deliver online assessments to your students and see immediate results to help you when you're guiding instruction, okay? The Spark Assessment Suite provides you with the option to browse pre-made tests and assign them to the students or create your own tests from the available question banks, right? As we will see in a minute when we go live, when assigning a test to your students, you need to set the open date and the close date and time, okay? Providing unique instructions if you would like to include additional notes for them to know to bear in mind before taking the test. And then you can adjust the settings if you wish to allow multiple attempts for the students and also to allow them to check their results and to see the correct answers of the test after the test due date, okay? So they will never see the answers, you know, to avoid cheating during the test valid dates, but after the test due date, if you prefer, you can adjust the settings and allow them to see the correct answers and their own scores, okay? As we will see now. Good. So, as I said, apart from using pre-made tests, existing tests, you can also create custom tests from the test tab, which is this one that is available from the top navigation menu. And you need to do that by clicking on this button, that's this create a test button at the top of the test page. You have to give your test a name. You will select the program and level from this drop-down menu, and you can then find different questions that are available, right? And select them for your customized test. You can filter questions down to just those that meet your selected criteria. For example, filter by skill. You can filter by like reading or grammar. You can filter by unit. You can filter by activity type, like multiple choice, fill in the blanks, even free writing, okay? And also something that we recommend, if you don't want to have extra work, like marking those manually graded activities, you can just select those that are automatically graded by the platform, which is always nice if you know that you're going to be busy, right? And then obviously, once you complete the selection, you add them to your test, you assign the test to your students, and once the test has been assigned, obviously they can take it online in that specific period of time that you have adjusted when you selected the settings. After the test due date, based on what you select, this is a summary of what the student can see. They can see their own performance, right? After the test due date, they can see whether they got it wrong, right or wrong, and how many points they earned the final score, as well as correct or incorrect answers, right? This can be shown to the students if you want to allow them to see this, okay? Right, so yes, let's do this. Let's go live and let's have a look at how you can do this whole thing with your teacher's account. I will start sharing my screen with my teacher's account. I've already signed in using my username and password. Hopefully, those who are here today have been provided with your set of credentials. You have your courses set up after attending our first 2 webinars. So these may look familiar. We will be using Voices and Nuprosa for this session today, but the functionality is exactly the same for all the other programs. So if you're using Outcomes or you are using Reflect or Lift, this would work exactly the same. We need to navigate to the Test tab. Okay, so I will click on Tests. And here, the first thing you need to do is that, remember, we have two options. One is using, reviewing or editing or copying the existing, the pre-made tests that are available for the program that I'm using. So the first thing that I will need to do is filter by program. Okay, in here you will find the list of programs that are in use in your institution. So if you're using different levels of Voices, you will find them here. If you're using Voices alongside other programs, like for example, Close-Up or Imagine, you will find them here, right? That's the case of my institution. I'm using multiple programs, but I'm gonna select Voices Elementary for this particular example. So as you can see, when I select the program, I have access to the total list of tests available for this program. There are unit tests ready to use, and there are also mid-year tests and end-of-year tests, okay? Many of them. So different options here. The first one we're gonna see is the preview option, okay? So after you've selected the program, you can browse the pre-made tests and then preview any tests with the answer keys. You will see here, if you click on preview, you will be able to see the total number of questions available as part of this test with the answer key, right? So this gives you an idea of, you know, you can flick through the test items here by using the arrows at the bottom, as I'm doing now. And you can see the different questions available in this test, okay? Obviously, when you have to decide which questions you would like to include, you will be able to preview them as well. But this is where you can check the answer key. You can have a look at the answer key, okay? So obviously, there are different kinds of questions. There are fill in the gaps questions, multiple choice. Whenever there is the listening, you will find that the track is provided and embedded. When there's a reading, like in this case, the article is there, okay? So different options. Here is an example of a listen task. Right, so once you have previewed the test, you click on the cross to go back to the main menu. And then other options here available, this pencil icon, this is a nice one that I recommend, because if you click on there, this allows you to not only see the total list of questions, so here 17 questions as part of this test, but also to preview them and to change the order of the questions if you would like to move them down or up in the list, okay? So imagine that I would like to put this down and change the order because it makes sense for me that my students take them in a different order. Or at some point, I would like to delete any of the questions after previewing them. And I think, no, I don't think that this is going to be necessary, so I'm gonna get rid of it, removing it from the actual test that I'm creating because I'm editing the existing test, okay? And obviously here, once you're happy with the final selection, you can save a copy of this test, right? So let's say, imagine that I'm going to delete a couple of questions and I'm happy with the others, obviously after previewing them all, right? Here is an example of a free writing exercise we haven't seen before, but generally, so students are given a text box where they have to type their answers, and then these are submitted for the teacher to mark, okay? Right. You also have the detail of how many points are associated to each task, which is also important, right? And then, so once you're happy with the selection, you save a copy and you give your test a name. For example, I'm going to write Unit 1 Assessment, September 2023, and I will save it, and these will automatically be added. Now it's updating my list of tests. It will be added to the existing tests available for this program, okay? I haven't assigned it quite yet. You see, this is ready now. I could create copies of any of the existing tests if I wish. If I have multiple courses with the same program, I could create copies and modify the order. Also randomize the questions for other groups. That's possible, creating copies. But when you reach the point of, you know, I'm going to assign it because I'm happy with the questions already, you have to bear in mind that you need to have an active course to be able, for this program, to be able to assign the test, okay? So this would be grayed out if you didn't have a Voices Elementary course, okay? In this case, because I've created one, I can now assign it. So click on assign, and the assignment creation, so the test assigning process is similar to the assignment creation process, which you may be familiar already. You have 3 steps here. The first one is selecting the course to which you would like to assign this test. Okay, so in this case, I have only one course for Voices Elementary. And the next step is an important one, because this is where you're going to decide when the test is going to be active for your students to complete online. So let's imagine that I want this test to be available for them tomorrow, but the due time will be 11 a.m. and then the start time will be 10. Okay, I'm going to give them 1 hour. Right? Recommendation is to start by the end date and time, and then the start date and time, not to have any conflicts there. Right. So based on my selection, I can now continue. And the second step is where you can apply settings to your test. Okay. By default, we have the most secure settings, which means obviously giving your students 1 attempt. Okay, they can take it once. You can modify these up to 10. Okay, but in general, we would recommend just leaving it with 1, because this is test conditions. Then show correctness marks. It means that if you leave it as it is, they will never be able to see whether their answers were right or wrong. Okay. And they will never be able to see the correct answers. These, as I said, are the most secure settings, because we have designed it like this to avoid any cheating. Okay, but if you modify this and you select after due date, this means that when the test is due, students will be able to check their test results and see correctness marks and the correct answers as well. So this is totally up to you. Okay. I will leave it as it is for this particular example. And in the final step, here I will have the total list of students, right? So imagine that I have my different students listed here, and I could decide whether I want to assign this test to individual students only by ticking on their names, or to all the students in the group. Okay, automatically ticking this box here, enabling this box means that all the students in the group, including those that may join the course later, which may happen in this period, September, October, when you have add and drop periods. So this makes sense. Okay, the final step, assigning the test to individual students or to the whole class. And that's it. Then you would click on assign to finish the process with a confirmation message there. That reminds me of my selection. Going back to the main page automatically, this allows you to see under this section, view assigned tests, which you can hide or you can reveal, that this test has now been assigned. Okay, there are no students in the group yet, but if they are going to enroll, imagine that they're enrolling today, they will see the test tomorrow. Okay, so this is an example of an assigned test that you can always edit. It's always possible for the teacher to modify the changes, to make changes to the tests before the start date, before any of the students have started completing that test. Okay, so if I wanted to make any changes in the content or changing the time, the end date for the test, this would be possible. I could update it. Okay, remember, as soon as one of the students starts taking the test, this is no longer possible. Okay, good. So once your students start completing the test, as we will see, because as I said, we will navigate to the student experience to see how students can take a test. You will be able to see from here, from the test tab, the activities that you will need to mark. Okay, so for now, for this particular example, I will show you one of the assigned tests that I have for another course. Okay, new close up A2. I'm just moving to assign tests and I'm selecting the program, for example, new close up A2. You will see that I have previously assigned different tests for this group of students, a class that I have with a new close up A2. And this is an example of what you can do there. View assigned tests under here. And you can see that this is a test that I created for my students to complete before the 16th of September. So all the students have completed it now, and I have 2 questions that are still pending manual grading. You see, under manual grading, 2 questions, which means that I have to click on grade. Okay, I'm now showing you how you can manually grade activities once your students have completed the test. You click there and you see the total list of your student names, student 1, 3, 2, etc. Right? And also here under manual grading, I can see that there are 2 tasks, 2 exercises that I have previously completed marking. I have already provided my feedback and the scores associated to this task for each of the students, but there are 2 that still need my revision, my feedback. Okay, so I will click on enter grade for student 3. This is a writing task. And here you have access to this eyeball where if you click on there, you will be able to see the students' responses. Okay, so a new tab is open. Now we will see that this was a writing task where the student was asked to complete, to answer some questions. So after reviewing the student answers, I will analyze the different criteria. So in this case, task completion, if there is any spelling mistakes, you know, exactly what it means. And then you can click there on the cross because it's not currently possible to add any comments or notes on the actual essay. Okay, this is not a Word or editable file. It's just a text box from where the students type their answers and they submit them to you. So if you enter any comments here, they won't be able to see it. All the comments provided by the teacher need to be added here under the enter grade. So if you want to say well done, or be careful with the spelling of this word, or punctuation, whatever you need to add, you would write it here. Okay, provide additional help or support, and then obviously giving the student a score, right? So if I write 7 out of 7, automatically I get the percentage and the color of the scale is provided. If I just change it to 5 or 4, you will see that the percentage varies accordingly. Okay. As soon as I click on submit, this is automatically feeding the student's account. Okay, so my student will get a message under the messages section saying that your teacher has provided scores and some comments to your writing task. And as you can see now, for student 3, this is now complete, right? There's only 1 pending question. Okay, Sarah has a question. How can you change the percentages on the traffic light system of the results? Right, this is something that we're gonna see when we go to the gradebook. Okay, at the end, we will navigate to the gradebook and we will see how you can adapt these settings of these percentages. However, in the case of these particular writings, you cannot modify the percentage. Percentage of the scale is always 50% or below, showing in red, between 50 and 70% in amber, and 71% or above in green. Okay, hope that makes sense. Good, but we will see, definitely we will see this for the rest of the gradebook. For the other activities, you can have a look at the student results and adjust the percentages and in the settings tab, as we will see later. Right, so we've seen how you can manually grade activities. We've also seen how you can select one of the existing tests under this test page. But now I will show you one final thing that has been added to the platform, which is the possibility for teachers to create a test, to create a custom test. Sorry. So if you click here, create a test at the top of the page, the first thing that you are prompted to do is to give your test a name. For example, I will give this test this name, Unit 2 Assessment. Okay, and I will create a test that it's only for grammar and listening. Okay, for my students to be assessed only on these 2 skills, because remember, it's possible to filter by skill, as we will see now, and also by unit and by question type. Okay, I will select the program, New Close-Up A2, and then I have to click on Add Questions to be able to see the question banks available. So look, for New Close-Up A2, I have 397 questions available, but obviously I'm not going to include them all. That would be a very long test for my students to complete. So it makes sense to select to filter by unit. So I will select unit 2, and I will wait for the list to be uploaded. And now I have 30 questions available, right? Then it makes sense that I may want to select skills. As I said, I'm going to be including grammar and listening to my questions. So ask questions in this test. So you see 15 questions now and 19 questions available, okay? Other filters that you could apply are, as I said before, when we were having a look on the slides, the possible features that you have, selecting auto-graded only, manually grading if you're only interested in those that you would like to mark, question types, okay? So a variety of options. I really encourage you to explore what options there are. Other programs like, you know, for example, New Close-Up or Voices, you would have the CFR descriptors here available, so here A2. But for any CBE titles, you will have the common core standards available as well. So a variety of filters that you can apply. And then it makes sense for you as a teacher to preview those questions, okay, before adding them to your test. So as usual, you can preview the questions here and decide whether you want to include them in your test, okay? You can navigate to the other pages. If there are multiple questions, you would find more than one page. Example here, having a look at the questions as we go. In this case, another fill in the blanks or multiple choice associated to a listening, etc. Right? Let's imagine that I want to add them all, 19 questions. I can tick the box here to add them all, or if I just want to get rid of some of the questions, for example, this, I would take it out. Okay, just untick the box that you don't want to, of the question you don't want to include. And so I have now a total of 18 questions selected, and I can add them to my test, add to test at the bottom, right? Next step, obviously, the test title continues to be the same. Here I have a summary of my selection. What I can still do, and these may be familiar for you now, it's that I can get rid of any questions at this point even. So if I finally decide that this should not be part of the test, I can get rid of it. And I can also modify the order, right? So reorder the questions in the test by putting them down or up as we go, okay? Finally, when I'm happy with my selection, I will click on Save and Close. And now the test bank that I have created, custom test, remember, this is different from the existing one, is created as a new test and added to the whole list, okay? Right, there's a question as well by Sarah saying, is there any way of working out an approximate timing to do the test? Currently, there is not an estimated time associated to each of the questions. As you may have seen, they are also short because they are test items, like not long questions, except for the reading passages. But yeah, this is feedback that we've already collected from other teachers, and our team is working on this to try and add an estimated time for each question. So you will see it added to the Spark test tab in the future. Okay, that's a very good question. Thank you, Sarah. Right, so going back to the test that I've created as a custom test, you can see how it has been added here, but it's not assigned yet. If I wanted to assign it for my students, I would just click here on Assign, and I would do exactly the same as we have seen before. I'm not going to go through the whole process because you already know how to do it. You select a start date and time, and date and time, then apply the settings that you wish and select the students, okay? So I'm going to cancel this assignment process to be taken back to the main test page. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how is it that a student can take a test. Okay. So now let's jump from the teacher's account to the student account. Hopefully you can now see my dashboard as a student. Remember that it is slightly different from the options that you have as a teacher. So students here have direct access to the course content, the ebook, the assignments, also from the top navigation menu. And here is where the tests can be found for students. Okay, so they click on tests, and they have two different tabs here: assign tests and test results. Okay, assign test is the ones that they can access by default, and they can see either those tests that they have completed. For example, in this case, the student has previously taken 2 tests and they are due already, but there is one that is pending completion, and actually it's active now. So as a student, I can take it, I can open it. So I'm going to show you how is it that the student can start taking a test. When they start taking a test, they get a timer at the top, just telling them how long is left, how much time they have to take the test. They get some instructions, okay, and obviously based on the settings that you have selected when assigning the test, they have information about how many times they can take the test. Okay, recommendation to use to take the test with good internet connection, and then you click on Start Test. Right. So whenever there are reading passages associated to questions, this is how they will be displayed. Also at the bottom there is a progress bar, which gives them an idea of how far in the test they are, or how much they have completed, and then they can flick through the test items by clicking on the arrows on the left or on the right. Okay. I'm just going to do this at random. Ideally not what my students should be doing, but this will give you an idea of how I can navigate through the test. Okay. When I click on those questions and I navigate to the next one, I'm never going to see the answers, obviously, because this is a test. Whenever there is a listening, I can play it from here.
Here's a photo of my friends.
Okay, and then I can just select and matching. For example, in this case, I would match, etc. Right? Next questions, just to give you an example, fill in the gaps. These are actually the questions that you have previously selected. So in here, they would type their answers. And if they leave them blank and they reach the end of the test, as I'm going to be doing now, obviously they submit their answers and they would get 0% in those test items. Okay, this is a free writing. You can see now that students are prompted to enter their writing here by typing, in this case, an email to Clara. Right, so these are the answers that you can manually grade, yeah, from the tests app, as we have seen before. Right, and then when they reach the end, we'll navigate to the last one. This is what they get, right? They get the submit button, and if they click there, they are automatically taken to a message that says you're done, your responses have been submitted. After the due date, go to test results to view your score. Okay, so this is how a student can complete the test. Now they click on the cross to be taken back to the test page, and then under complete, they will find the test that they have just taken. Okay, it's not yet due, but you see they cannot see any results. It's blocked. Okay, however, for any of the other tests that I have completed, the test is due. So I can click on open, or I can navigate to click here. I can navigate to test results to see my scores. Okay, I will zoom in for you to see it better. Right. So, for example, in the first test, I completed the test, and this is what I got, 88%. And then the second one, I got 14%, so I didn't do well here. And for any manually graded task that my teacher has provided marking under messages, I will see this, right? I will get this as a student. Your instructor has provided new scores. So here, well done, just one mistake to note, etc. Right? Any comments that you provide when manually grading activities, then your students can see from their student accounts, right? I will stop here and check if there are any questions about the student view before we move on. No questions in the chat box? So far, so good. Then let's assume that we are following. Right, so before we finish, I'm gonna take you back to my teacher's account, right? And then I will show you how you can see the gradebook. Okay, the gradebook is where you can see the global picture of how the class is doing, and you can also analyze the student performance individually. Okay, so to navigate to the gradebook, you have to click on the course cover, either here or launch the course by clicking on the arrow. And then you have the gradebook here from the menu on the left. Right, if you navigate to the gradebook, you will find two different tabs, as we saw in the second of our live webinars, okay? The gradebook can be used to track student performance and class performance on assignments and also on tests, as we will see now. Right, imagine that I would like to analyze my student performance, student by student. So here it makes sense to select any of these students, for example, student 2, click on the arrow to navigate to the detail of these student results in all the assignments that the student has taken. So this is homework, assignment. And here we have the tests, you see, assessment for grammar, right? So if I wanted to have a look at the actual responses that the student submitted, I have to click on this arrow and then click on the eyeball, okay? So this will allow me to open the test that the student completed and just flick through the questions to see what the mistakes were. For example, in this case, all of the listening was correct, but in here, there was a mistake about family members, vocabulary revision, and here the order, word order. So basically, you can analyze, identify areas of weakness and provide support either in classroom, face-to-face, or through the platform, sending a message, individual message to the student, as we saw in the previous webinars, okay? Remember the scale. So some of you were asking me about this. These cannot be changed from this tab, from the student performance tab, is always the case of the colors that I mentioned before, as you can see them here. However, now we will see that you can change the settings from the class performance tab. Okay, so answering Sarah's question in the chat box before, we will see it from the class performance tab. Something else before we move there that I wanted to show you is that you can easily select another student by typing their name directly from this drop-down menu, and then you can directly see that student results. Okay, directly from here, and click on the icon as well to see the detail of their answers. In this case, we will see that the student has done some spelling mistakes and also problems with spelling in the vocabulary. Okay, this is how we would analyze the student answers. Right. So now, finally, let's go to the class performance tab, which is a very good one, because obviously here you have, as we described in the second webinar, you have the global picture of what's going on in your classrooms as a whole, okay, not the detail of every student, but you can see how the whole class is performing in terms of activities, assignments, and tests. You can filter by clicking here on Edit, and I can select Show Tests Only. You can see there, Show Tests Only. So if I apply this, the results that I'm going to get are only the scores that my students achieved in each of the tests that I have assigned so far. So, for example, in the case of this test, okay, I can see that one out of 4 of these students achieved scores below 70%, and this is under settings, yeah, where you can modify this. This is the answer to the question that some of you were raising. So if I decided that for my particular course, low performance should be below 40% and that high performance should be 80%, this will automatically change the colors and the number of students in each of the categories, okay? Then you can always click there on each of the different items to see visually clear diagram that gives you the detail of the breakdown, student performance breakdown in each of the groups, okay? Also the detail of the attempts that each of the students took and how long they spent in the test, okay? It's always possible to export this. Each of the views in the gradebook can be exported as an Excel file. If you click there, you will generate a report, and the report will automatically be generated, and it will be delivered as a message shortly here under the messages and news section, as we will see in a minute. So you can go back to the previous tab, and you can always modify the filters. Remember, edit. You can filter by unit, you can filter by show all assigned work, but in the particular case of tests, which is what we are covering today, my recommendation is to choose these, to apply this filter to see the test results only. My report is available here already, so we'll navigate to messages and news. And here's where I can download a report for the whole class performance, okay? And add my comments if I wish. Any questions so far about the class performance stuff and how we can generate, download reports and view class performance? I don't know if there is anything there.
We have a question, Sonia, in the Q&A section. Elena is asking if we've chosen the option of seeing the correct answer after due date, where can the students find them after the test?
Right, yeah, good question, Elena. So let me take you back to the student profile. Remember that under tests, test results, yeah, based on the settings that you have, if you click, so if you have allowed the students to see the results, when they click here, they will be able to see their scores, okay? Also, any tests that they have complete here, assigned complete test, you see, open. This is where they will see the detail of their score. In this case, my teacher didn't allow me to see the correctness marks or the correct answers. But if my teacher had allowed me to, I would then be able to flick through the test items to see the correctness marks and the correct answers. Okay, yeah, hope that helps. Any other questions? No, all right. So let's see. Let's go back to our slides for a while, very quickly, because there is something that I would like to remind you of before we finish. And this is, let me check if we can see the screen properly. Yes, here it is. So a reminder of help, or where you can find help, support in this in back to school period. This is our onboarding site. You will find teacher guides and student guides here available from this link, and also helpful video tutorials that will help you consolidate everything that has been covered in these webinars. Also our help site for specific tech support information, and this is a particularly good one. If you filter by user type, like instructor, you select instructor, you will find all the existing tutorials. There is one about the tests, okay? So I really encourage you to watch it, to review what we've been exploring today. And then there is a help center at the top that allows you to search for specific items, for example, tests, and to find more information about the tests. So we've reached the end, and if I don't know if there are other questions, Julia.
I don't believe so, no. Marta is just asking where we can find the recordings from the session. So these will be shared with you within the next week or so. Yeah. So just look out for an email from us.
Right, yes, that's it, yes. And also this is the online hub where you have all been able to register. There are also, we are going to add the recordings in there in a few days as well. Right, so thank you very much, everybody. I know that I will still have some final comments.
Yes, thank you so much, Sonia, for a fantastic session. And thank you again, everyone, for joining today. Before you leave, I just have a few things to mention. So first of all, immediately after the session, you will be directed to a feedback survey to let us know what you thought. Please share your thoughts with us to help us improve our sessions and make sure that they're as valuable as they can be. If you have any more questions about Spark, please reach out to your local representative, or if you don't have one, just use the email address in the follow-up email from Zoom, and we'll make sure you're directed to the right person. Lastly, please be sure to join our online community for teachers of English and our social media channels by searching at ELT-NGL on Facebook or Twitter. You'll find up-to-date information about events, practical classroom tips, exciting real-world content, and new product information on there. Again, thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.